Mhlongo, she's monitoring the situation there. Ayanda, a very good morning to you once again. It is no doubt a busy morning there in Nongoma, as expected. We saw a number of politicians, a number of leaders of political parties. We saw the former president, Jacob Zuma, entering there, paying their last respects to the king's family. What are you seeing there now?
Yeah, definitely, Blaine. It certainly has been a very busy morning, but it's quietened down just a little bit outside here as that delegation of government leaders as well as the former president have now gone inside the palace to pay their respects. We do have confirmation from the provincial government that once they come out, they are then going to go to greet Amakosi who are awaiting here outside the palace, and once they have greeted Amakosi, they will then come through to the members of the media and address us. And we understand that it will be former President Jacob Zuma who will be addressing members of the media. But Blaine, you've just had a very important discussion with Professor Somadoda Figeni in terms of the customs and rituals. And one of the important questions that you had asked earlier on was terminology that one uses in respect of His Majesty. And I now have with me Baba Blessed Gwala to take us through and also to explain what should happen now in terms of the king's subjects. This is a time of mourning for all the AmaZulu, not just here in province of KwaZulu-Natal, but across South Africa and those that are on different parts of the world. There is certain rituals, procedures and behavior that is expected of AmaZulu. Let me bring in now Ubaba Blessed Gwala to take us through that. Baba Gwala, thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. And I think it's quite important, as we were discussing earlier on, Baba Gwala, there has been some concerns as well. We've heard from Amakos and some members of the royal family on social media and in some media platforms that terminology, in some instances, the terminology is incorrect. Speak to us now, when in respect of the king, and in isiZulu, siyasithi Baba Gwala, we do not say he has died, we say ikhotheme ngonyama, and we do not say that he will be buried, we say ingonyama izotshalwa. Take us through that and explain that terminology for us.
I think you are touching on a very important subject because there are some different cultures, and the African cultures, particularly here in KwaZulu, then we believe that the king is unlike everybody else. The king is different. It's just like an angel who has been sent down to earth in order to rule for a certain period of time, and then he will also go and allow the other one to come in. So you can't say the king is dead because he can't die. An angel can't die. So it's a leader who is a God-sent leader to come down to do a particular assignment and rule over the people for a certain period, and thereafter then he has to depart and allow the other one to take over. So to say ukhotheme is because ukhotama, just like as you kneel down, and then that's what it means, because he will never die. And to say sichala inkosi, meaning that you plant inkosi, is because he will germinate in the next few days or months. The one who will actually be elected formally by the royal family will be the same one who actually have been planted in the past. So that's how it is working. Just like to say Ubayete is Bayete and Ngonyama, and once among the royal family members, everybody is called Ndabezitha. Even when you salute, you say Ndabezitha. But once you become a king, then you are no more Ndabezitha. Then you are the king, you are Bayete, as they salute. There is also a very interesting thing, such as with other cultures. When somebody comes in, maybe a leader or a president of the country, those who are seated down must stand up. But really, when it comes to our culture, then you do not stand up, but you kneel. Even if you have been standing, when the king comes in, then you have to kneel down to allow him to come in. So there are those smaller nyana things that are actually happening. So the royal protocol is far different from the normal protocol that are used by government, in churches, and in other structures.
And of course, this is a time, thank you very much, Gwala, for that, but this is also a time for mourning, Gwala, and we understand that there's also a lot that is expected from the king's subject during this point. I also had heard that if you were going to hold some sort of a ceremony, be it a wedding, be it a birthday party, ordinarily those would have to be put on hold during this time of mourning. Is it indeed the case?
It is important because the king is the king of everybody. And everybody and families must actually mourn. That will be a sign of mourning with the royal family members. So you can't just do anything as you like. So you have to observe. That's why even the provincial government has actually suspended the business of government during this time of mourning. Is because of the same important, a very critical point that we need to show the sign of mourning. Otherwise, it will not be mourning if everybody is happy and doing its own thing, and then Amachadu and the rest. So you have to observe that until a particular time, so that then you'll be free to do whatever you want to do.
The mourning period, Babwal, is it up until the king is laid to rest, or is there a time afterwards as well where his subjects will continue to be in mourning?
The mourning continues, but for the government, for example, and for other functions like weddings and so on, then can be given away a week, 2 weeks, depending on what those who are in charge. For example, here we talk of the Prince of Wapindangan as the senior prince here, then can actually inform the nation the period of mourning. So it goes like that, yeah.
Then I want to also move on amongst the people who are here, who have been here. We see Amakosi, and even though we heard Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi saying that due to COVID-19 regulations and adherence of the protocols, he was asking that people stay away. But clearly, it's a difficult one, I suppose, Abab Gwala. Many of the traditional leaders who are here said they cannot leave the palace. They have to be here on guard 24 hours.
It is unfortunate that the generation that we are in is not the generation that was there in, for example, in 1920, in 1820, as well as in 1720. Where there was this different flu that arrives to the country or to the world. So now it is unfortunate that it happened. The king passed on during a very critical time when there is COVID-19, of which the very same people that they are talking do not understand why they are excluded to be part of the ceremony that is actually taking place. So they feel excluded. But at the same time, the nation needs senior people with senses, who can actually give an instruction that if you fail to do this, you will all perish. That's what the Prince of Kapindangan is talking about, because they can actually force into whatever gathering during this time of mourning. But at the end of the day, and then the very same people who have actually forcing this, and then they will die in droves.
Yesterday, Gwala, we saw Amabotu, the warriors. They traveled from Nongoma to Durban to collect the remains of His Majesty up until they left him at the local mortuary. And we understand that they are still there guarding the body. That process of, and we understand it could not have not happened that way. The warriors needed to have traveled to Durban to be the ones that were part of the rituals that were going to be performed. And then also explain to us the need for them to stand guard where the king's body is currently.
Why they are there, in fact, we are saying there were few. It's because of the message that was sent by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi that people must not go there to observe the protocols of the COVID-19. But if there was no COVID-19, I can tell you that there will be more than 50,000 people at the hospital, and also more than 100,000 people attending the funeral. But it cannot happen because of these protocols, and they need someone who is strong enough, like the Prince of Kapindangan, to say, don't do this, so that people will actually stay home and then they can watch on their television. Not because they are bad, because there is something wrong. It's only that they are protecting their own lives, because the COVID-19 has caused a lot of havoc throughout the world.
And the presence of Amabotu, even now, we understand, being at the local mortuary, staying there throughout the night, wherever the king went. And I know recently, a year ago, when he went to England, Amabotu were there with him there. Yes. So wherever the king went, Amabotu, as his warriors, as his defenders, would always be there with him.
Yes, that's why, in fact, as I have indicated at the beginning, that although the king has passed on, but they regard him as still alive, and the spirit is there. That's why they have actually to form a guard of honor, because they honor him as the king, and they still praise him the same way as they have been doing when he was alive.
Gwala, I then want to, and I'm just noting here that I see some of the king's sons, the princes and princesses, are now also making their way into the palace as we speak. But just to come back to our discussion, Gwala, I suppose COVID-19 came with its challenges. As you were saying, that there would have been hundreds and thousands of people that would have been here throughout this time, would have probably have gone as well. Amabotu would have gone to collect the mortal remains of His Majesty. But I suppose in trying to ensure that the COVID-19 protocols are adhered to, but the rituals need to continue as history dictates. So there cannot be any changes. So I would presume that there would be difficulty there in terms of adhering, continuing with the rituals and the customs that need to be performed, but also understanding we now live in a new world, and you now need to factor in COVID-19 as well.
It is true, because what we are saying is quite correct. The rituals will continue, but it will be very few people that will be allowed to do so, and the rest of people has to stay home to protect their own lives. It's not about the king now, it's about their own life. And the Prince of Kapindangan indicated that it was even the wishes of the king that when it is like this, and then people must not they must actually follow the protocols and regulations of the COVID-19. If there was no COVID, I can tell you that the people would actually stay here and not go home until the day of the burial, without any tent, without anything, because they are coming to salute him, to say bye-bye, not because he's dead, it's because he's moving to another world to join those that were in front of him and allow the other one that will be coming to continue to rule.
Gwala, thank you so much for your insight there, Baba, or Blessed Gwala, there playing, taking us through. And this one is quite important, from the terminology to what is expected of the king's subjects during this time. And of course, also explaining, I'm sure they're on social media, those videos that were circulating throughout the day yesterday of Amabutu when they went to collect the king's body at Durban's Nkosi Albert Luthuli Hospital, bringing them home to Nongoma, and him taking us through the importance of all of that, and also picking up from what Bab Gwala was saying, that Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi could still come out and announce that the mourning period may be extended even after the king has been laid to rest. So very, very important lessons that we are learning here, playing. Certainly, I think for most people who are alive, many would not have known what happened when the king's father, the late King Cyprian, passed away, and the processes and the procedures that took place then. So certainly for many of us who are here, this is the first time as AmaZulu that we are laying to rest a king.
So important. We're getting an education, and so we should, in terms of this rich culture we should know more about. According to Mr. Gwala, the king is different. He is thought of like an angel who is sent to earth to rule for a certain period of time. So you can't say that the king has died, because angels don't die. Important language there, Ayanda, important reporting. Thank you very much indeed. We will come back to you as soon as you have further developments there in Nongoma, in KwaZulu-Natal. Ayanda Mhlongo there and the team. Let's take a quick break. Get to more news next. Stay with us.